So, here we are, with map number 1 of a best of 1 coming up. It is, of course, one of the first rounds of Go for SC2 Thursday. I'm Madals, and we're about to get in to some Elterim Stronghold matches. Match. It's only the one. Unfortunately, that makes me very sad. But anyway, let me introduce these two players. Spawning up in the top right-hand position as the blue Terran. He represents Team Dignitas. It's SeleCT. And down to the bottom right, the red Zerg player, none other than Violet. He goes for a little extractor trickery there. Always good getting some extractor trick down. It makes me a very, very happy person. Extractor tricks to me are a good little skill to have, because while they don't serve any massive purpose, they make you look infinitely cooler. At least in my opinion anyway. In terms of openings, SeleCT, he's dropped down a barracks. I'm keeping an eye out to know whether he takes a gas, which he's going to. And this signals that most likely SeleCT is going to be going for some form of Reaper expand. It's a nice safe way to go, and any Terran players out there who sit back and go, well, Madals, there's a base in my base and the map's huge, why don't I just go for CC first? Don't do it. Don't do it ever. Because against a Zerg player, sometimes they'll just be like, hehe, let's go for a 10 pull. And then you die. You just die, and it's painful and embarrassing. And you're just going to sit there like, oh, I shouldn't have gone so greedy. And you shouldn't have done. And that's why you should always open at least a Rax expand. Reaper expand's cool as well, because you can actually get in and scout lots. And the cool thing about this map is the fact that you can come in and poke and prod and just generally be a bit irritating. Being irritating is always fun. Plus, you can do the normal follow-ups. You can go from that Reaper into a second Reaper, then into 4 Hellions, and be like, harass, killing drones, everything's good in the world. Meanwhile, Violet, less to say about what Violet's doing. Violet just going for the standard Zerg opening, which is hatch first into a spawning pool. Could have gone a bit crazy and mixed things up, and decided to go for a gas before pull for the earlier Zergling speed. But it ain't really worth it, because on a map this big, you got plenty of time to get speed down anyway, and getting the queen out sooner, and getting that extra production faster, the more drones, quicker. That's what you're really gunning for. So now we see SeleCT starting up his command center. That's off the back of this Reaper. There isn't a second Reaper coming through, but instead a reactor. So this is purely just for scouting, and a tiny, wincy little bit of poking. Violet should have no problem keeping the drones alive though, not even having to build a spore cooler to keep it up at the moment. Just pulling quite a few drones though, and I question if this is a worthwhile investment, because when you're pulling this many drones you lose a decent chunk of mining time. So Violet may have been better just building a spore cooler and cancelling that, but the maths is far beyond what I can do quickly in my head during a game. 4 lings out on the field now, as well as the 2 queens, with 2 additional ones coming through. This should deter any further poking and prodding from the Reaper. Meanwhile, if we keep a good close look on what SeleCT's doing, he's just keeping things going very, very standard. He's not opting to get anything crazy down. He's going up for the factory, but this is a very normal time. His Reapers are actually coming over now. There's 3 of them on the field, so that reactor was for additional Reapers, which is pretty good fun. And this could actually catch Violet off guard, because the fact that only 1 Reaper came in initially, up to 3 is a big jump. But this means a follow-up push with Hellions is going to be very potent. These Zerglings are going to have a bit of a bad time, one getting sniped down there. And what SeleCT is attempting to achieve is, by picking off some of these lings, he's going to be forcing more. And if more Zerglings get out on the field, that means less lava is available to become drones. The Reapers though have to stay up, and that's because they're essential in the follow-up push with the Hellions to tank up damage from the queens. With combat drugs they can heal up nicely, but a nice couple of chipping away of those lings, and Violet's suddenly got nothing but drones and queens. Already another lava force in to Zerglings. And meanwhile, back at SeleCT's base, he's happy utilising this map pressure gained from the Reapers by going into Hellions. Really nicely done here by SeleCT. Violet, though, has sneaked out a good number of drones, up to 43 already. Starting up with that lair tech, and speed is only just begun now, at a very late stage of about 7 minutes-ish. SeleCT's third, about 2/3 done, the first Hellions coming over as well. A Rotoron is being constructed now by Violet, wants to just make sure that these Reapers and Hellions cannot get additional damage down if it can be helped. Queens now pushing back these Hellions, pushing back the Reapers, but more on the way. And this is actually a decent amount of pressure. The primary goal for SeleCT now is to deny this third as long as possible. And with this size of force, it shouldn't be too hard to do. There isn't a spine down, there's no roaches, there is only these 3 queens. Obviously behind this, SeleCT getting stim, getting up additional barracks, and now the starport, so teching nicely, but the engagement coming through. The queen to the right gets transfused just in the nick of time, but it's getting a decent amount of energy banked up on it, so this is actually a good defense by Violet at the moment. One more transfuse on that queen. The other 2 out of energy, but of course they can stay at the front, tanking up some of the damage. SeleCT behind this, getting double engineering base, wanting to quickly go into double upgrades, but takes a bit of a misstep there. Didn't realize roaches were coming. Hasn't scouted the Rotoron yet, so that caught him off guard and really will spell the end of any further poking and prodding. There really isn't much more that he can do with a Hellion Reaper force once roaches are down on the field. But Violet can certainly come and try knocking on SeleCT's door. This third, probably going to have to pull back, because in terms of what's on the field, there's 2 Marauders and 3 Marines. They can certainly start to deal with these roaches, but there's a fair few of them going across the map at 8, and it could just be a little bit too annoying. We'll wait to see if a few more Marauders can join in with them, and if SeleCT's going to be able to make a good hold using stim, and of course once those 2 medevacs come out. Hellions and Reapers still preparing to come through, trying to get some more damage down if they can. But in now come those roaches, getting a good bit of damage, snipe off one of the Marauders, and are going straight for the other 2. These are the big damage dealers to the roaches. The Marines getting a decent amount of DPS through though, and most of the roaches have now been cleaned up with the SCV pool just to help close it through. 3 workers killed by Violet compared to no drone losses as of yet sustained. So that's good for a Zerg. 11 more roaches coming through. The 1-1 upgrade's also about to sink in for them. This is a very powerful push being prepared. And to be honest, SeleCT not yet in a great position to try and defend that. Is getting a few Widow Mines down. Roach speed is finished. And with the 2-2 upgrades coming through, it looks like SeleCT is going to be contending up against a very heavy roach composition. It'll be interesting to see how that works up against this biomine style that, in theory, should be able to defend against this pretty well. We will be getting some Hydralisks as well, 10 now queuing up, as well as that group spine upgrade coming through. Recently, Hydras were buffed, of course, to get a slightly faster attack speed, meaning their damage is a bit higher. How that'll affect up against the standard infantry mine combo of Terran, we'll wait to see. Hellions just trying to deter any additional creep spread for the moment, and Violet, while he's got an awful lot of active creep tumors, hasn't been able to make much progress. And this could be brilliant. SeleCT now coming along the right hand side with 4 medevacs, going for a massive drop in. An Overlord is going to scout it, but not before the boost comes through. This natural base could take a lot of damage. There's a decent number of Hydralisks though, and if they can snipe down the medevacs, there won't be any retreat. But just so many units at the moment for SeleCT. Can he hold it off? Not against that many forces. Has to back away. The Widow Mines get taken out, but importantly 3 of the 4 medevacs manage to escape. Resources lost, pretty similar. SeleCT just under 2,000, 1,500 lost for Violet so far. So very even losses for the time being. Exactly which way this is going to go, still can't determine because they're very equal. The work counts are identical, which in theory does favour SeleCT, but that's because Violet is coming with a absolutely massive push now across the map. There is a lot of roaches and a lot of Hydralisks, and it's going to be very interesting to see if SeleCT can hold this. He doesn't have too much stuff there. His medevac count is at 5. The Widow Mines are going to have to get some very nice hits. This 4th command center, no choice but to cancel. The mine's not burrowed. One of them goes down, a second one dies very quickly, and the other 2 also get picked off as there is an Overseer in position. SeleCT just doesn't seem to have anything in order to try and stop this. The push just crashing up into his main base. A quick pickup from the Medivacs, attempts to retreat away the little infantry that he has, but the Roaches and Hydras already in. The third is getting slaughtered. The SCVs annihilated by this much damage. The 2-2 upgrades as well kicking in for Violet. SCV pull from the main and SeleCT was not prepared for that. GG is called and Violet advances over SeleCT into the next round.